Konnichiwa everybody, welcome back. So I've watched 2 or 3 videos the past few days about the sort of PlayStation 30th anniversary. I didn't put 2 and 2 together and realise it was the 30th anniversary until I started seeing a few videos. And so I thought, maybe I'll do one. And so here we are. I was going to do a top 10 PS1 games. And then I started to think about it, and it was getting a bit tricky, to be honest. And then I started looking at the shooters I'd bought for it. So I decided I'll do a shmup collection for the PS1. With this current anniversary, why not? But yeah, 30 years, man. I can't believe it, really. 30 years since the PS1 come out. Man, it don't feel like yesterday, but boy, it don't feel like 30 years. I can clearly remember it. That anticipation you always get from a new console, and there was a big sort of buzz around the PS1, wasn't there? There'd been sort of other attempts to move on from the 16-bit generation with like the 3DO and the CDI and not really very successful, even though the 3DO at the time felt like it was like the next thing. But then that soon died away when obviously the proper next generation came about with the Saturn and the PS1. But that was kind of game changing at the time, wasn't it? But I can remember when they first came out on import and had the Saturn straight away, and I can remember trying to get a PlayStation, but the prices of them on import were just unbelievable. I can remember when they just come out. I can't remember when it was it late 94? But anyway, when they'd just been released in Japan, I remember being quoted £1,000. That was like cost price for a Japanese PS1 at the time. And I just, as much as I wanted one, I thought, it's too much. I did Google it before I started this video, and that £1,000 in 1995, I think I checked, he's £2,000 now. So I mean, get your head around that. It's like £2,000 for a PS5. That's what the equivalent cost was for the Japanese PS1 on import when it first came out. Demand was that high. £2,000. I mean, unbelievable. Obviously, I didn't buy one. I can't remember how long it went on. How long it had been out. But I kept asking about it. Like I say, that £1,000, that was cost. Being a shop owner, you'd then got, if theoretically, you'd got to buy that in and then sell it on to somebody else, to make it worthwhile. So, what's the customer going to be paying you? £1,500 at the time. £3,000 now. Madness. Anyway, I can't remember how long it went on, but I kept asking about it, and it did gradually start to come down as the weeks went on. It wasn't like, ages. I've got a feeling it was probably about 2 or 3 months after it came out I finally bought one. And I can remember the price had come down to £700, which was still a lot of money. I think the Saturn at the time, when it came out brand new in Japan, I've got a feeling of 400 odd for the Saturn in my memory bank. Again, that was cost. So even at 700, the PS1 was significantly dearer. But I decided, you know, in my youthful foolhardiness, I would pay 700 quid, and I bought one when it was down to 700. Which again, in today's money, I googled earlier, is 1400 quid. I mean, I wouldn't even dream of it now. You know, I won't pay 300 quid for a PS5. You know, I'm no interest. Crazy days. But what amazing days they were. Such phenomenal times. You know, it felt so like, it felt so new, didn't it? And, you know, it was a giant leap forward going into 3D. I mean, with hindsight, it wasn't a good move in my opinion, but, you know, each to their own. But at the time, it felt incredible. And it was such an amazing time to be involved in this amazing hobby we all love. And so, you know, it's gone on from there, obviously. PlayStation domination. It's pretty much killed everything except, you know, Nintendo. But, you know, it makes you wonder where and how things might have been different if Nintendo had gone with Sony, or, you know, if the PS1 had never been you know, if Sony decided they didn't want to make a console, you know, Sega might still have been around. We'll never know, will we? But that's beside the point anyway. We've gone way off topic here. This is a PS1 SHMUP collection. Somehow got sidetracked with the 30th anniversary of the PS1. Anyway, yeah, the PS1 shmups. Obviously, I've been into shmups in the past, whatever, couple of years, and I thought I'd do the shmup collection now because I think I'm at a point where I've pretty much, I think I'm done collecting shmups on the PS1. Not because there aren't more I would like, but because the ones that I haven't got that I'd like are too much money. You know, I just wouldn't pay it. So, as it stands, I don't see me adding to my shmup collection for it. But, you know, you never know, do you? And something might crop up. But if it doesn't, I'm happy with what I've got. So, I thought I'd just run through them here. I think I'd say a good half are Japanese exclusive. Some got PAL releases, like I say, but I think that there's at least half that probably didn't. So, I have put on the TV In the Hunt. What a game. Right, first up, these are kind of out of order. Hang on a second. First up, we've got the Capcom Generations collection. Obviously, in Japan, they were all separate, where PAL, they came out as a single compilation pack. This is obviously the sort of, I don't know, the unusual book variant of the legend that is Craig, obviously. But anyway, yeah, this is volume 1, which is the 1940s collection. So we got 1942, 1943 and 1943 Kai. Fantastic collection. They're all great games. I'm sure I've showed these before, but, you know, it's very difficult on camera, but it's just basically a sort of a book which is kind of expanded instructions, I suppose, really. But it's you know, nice thing, all in colour. And then you just get the game in the back. Lovely set, I've got to say. There's a few Capcom versions of these. I still need number 5. I haven't tracked that down yet. Anyway, we've got volume 3, which you'd probably argue this is the weakest one of the Capcom discs. But that said, there are some good games on here. But the shooters are Vulgus and X's. Both very early, like vertical shooters. Wouldn't say either are fantastic, but nice to have. You know, it's off topic, but the best game on this pack for me is Sun. That's really good. And then the last one featuring shooters is Volume 4, which is the Commando collection, really. You've got Commando, Mercs, but again, the star of this pack is Gunsmoke. What an amazing game. Balls hard, but incredible. Right, on to the regular stuff now. First up, Konami title, and we've got Gradius Gaiden, which is quite a cool box. I do quite like this one. I'm not going to keep opening them up. I've not played much of this, but I seem to remember it was good. Excuse the reflection. But yeah, that's Gradius Gaiden. I forgot one. Hang on. Thinking about it. I forgot two because I've got them on American, and these are all Japanese. But yeah, we've got the Atari collection, which is basically all old Atari coin-ops. So I'm just trying to remember what shooters are on here. I'm not sure they're really. They are shooters. See, there's a grey area of shooters, isn't there, really? Instead of like your horizontal and vertical scrolling, there's other things which you could class as shooters, like on here, for instance. You've got Asteroids, Black Widow. What a game. Tempest. I mean, Tempest's a shooter, really, but it's a different kind of shooter. But I mean, I'm mad for Atari now, so that is a great collection. I'm sure that's out, pal. And then the other one, I'm not sure if this is out, pal. You can certainly get a Japanese, but I've got the American one, and that's the Konami Arcade Classics. Again, magnificent collection. Does it list what's on here? Yeah. Time Pilot, Scramble, Super Cobra. Well, it's got. I'll just list them all. Some aren't shooters. Pooyan isn't a shooter. Circus Charlie, Year Kung Fu, Shaolin's Road, Road Fighter. Again, what a game. But the best game on here, Gyrus. Awesome. Rock and Route, that's like a platform game. So yeah, there's a few shooters like Scramble, Super Cobra, Time Pilot, but like I say, Gyrus for me, it's kind of Tempest, Gyrus, Black Widow, that kind of the same, isn't they, really? But all magnificent games. So again, that is a fantastic collection. Right, next up, we've got another Konami collection, and we've got the Gradius Deluxe Pack. Sorry, Parodius Deluxe Pack. Can't really go wrong with that. It feels like I'm missing the manual. Oh no, I'm not. Oh no, it's the spindle in the middle, the teeth are missing, causing the disc to flop about. Yeah, Parodius collection. Again, another classic. I do love the theme and like the sounds and the bright colours and, you know, the style of Parodius. Really, really good. Right, next up, this is one of the, might actually be the last PS1 shooter I bought. I got this quite recent. Was it? Wasn't Donny? Was it? Was it? Might have been Nottingham. Again, and it was off Craig anyway. And we've got the Tower Plant Shooting Battle 1. I'm having trouble with the reflections. Yeah, Tower Plant Shooting Battle 1, which is basically Tiger Heli, QQ Tiger and Twin Cobra. What I didn't realise was this doesn't play particularly well on a PS2, and I haven't got a standalone Japanese PS1. So at the moment I can't really play this properly because for whatever reason, the PS2 doesn't play very well. However, it's a lovely collection to have, and what a beautiful box. I think Craig said that was his favourite, possibly, if I got the right one. His favourite cover on the PS1. Right, next up, classic. See, the thingy, obviously PS1 Saturn, contemporary sort of competing consoles rather at the time, and obviously the Saturn is lauded as the great 2D console with all the best shooters. But I've got to be honest, I think the PS1 is just as good, frankly. You know, okay, I'm not like a mad aficionado, and you know, I'm not going to notice certain technical things that some people would. But for me, the PS1 is still a fantastic console for shooters, and in that kind of vein, we've got Don Pachi. Obviously, you can get this on the Saturn as well, but I decided to get the PS1 version, and they do tend to be a bit cheaper on the PS1. And for me, they still are fantastic. So, you know, nothing against the Saturn. It's amazing, but there are some great shooters on the PS1 as well, in my humble opinion. And then, of course, obviously, I had to get Dodonpachi as well. Obviously, the sequel. And for me, this is as far as I can go with shooters. This is getting a bit too much for me. I mean, I prefer this one, if I'm honest. You know, this is getting too much like Bullet Hell for me. But I do still like it. You know, it's a cracking game. But anything newer than that, I think I've decided is not for me, really. Right, next up, the aforementioned In the Hunt. Stunning game. I'm sure you're aware, kind of metal slugging submarines. And case in point, what I've just been saying, this is better on the PS1 than it is on the Saturn. It's got horrendous slowdown on the Saturn, where the PS1 version is a hell of a lot better, and an amazing game. And this is out, pal. So yeah, it's absolutely stunning game. Right, next up, this was off Craig. There's a familiar theme, I think it was anyway. R-Type Delta. I've said before, I'm not the biggest R-Type fan, I've got to say. I've not played much of this, but it does look very nice from what I can remember of it. And again, this is out, pal. I don't know what it is with me and R-Type. It just doesn't kind of... I just don't gel with it. I don't know. But it's nice to have anyway. R-Type Delta. Then, well, if I was going to do my top 10 PS1 games, this one would feature very near the top. One of my all-time favourites. It's become in recent years, obviously, Raiden. It's just stunning. What a game. Love it. I like all the versions, if I'm honest. Each have got their own kind of idiosyncrasies, shall we say. But the PS1 version, I think it's probably the best one. So, if you haven't played Raiden, play it. It's magnificent. It's in a class of 2 as the best shooters going, in my opinion. Then, of course, I've also got Raiden. What's this called now? Raiden Special. It's basically an enhanced version. See, I don't know if this is a Japanese exclusive, because you can get Raiden on the PS1, and I don't know if it's both of these together. I've never I've never had it or played it, so I don't actually know if this is on that PAL discs or this is actually exclusive to Japan. But anyway, it's a much nicer cover. Though I've spent more time playing the original. You know, this is awesome to have. And again, you need to play it. Right. Next up, this is another belting game, I've got to say. And it's Gatchaman the Shooting. Obviously, Battle of the Planets. In sort of vertical shooter form. And I really like this game. It's nice and colourful. It's not balls hard like a lot of them. It's accessible for the sort of hacker like me. Great game. Not a fortune either, so quite affordable. But again, I think this is I'm sure this is Jap exclusive, but an awesome game. Right, next up, now we've got the Namco, like the Capcom generations, we've got the Namco Museum games. So shooters feature on a few of these. This is Encore, this is Japanese exclusive again. Because there was obviously 5 volumes, but this is a 6th volume that only came out in Japan in this standalone form, and there's one in like a nice set. But on here, there's some great games on here, period. But on here, shooter wise, you've got Dragon Saber, which is a pretty cool game, you know, like Phelios on the Mega Drive. But it's got King and Balloon, Motos, Sky Kid, Rolling Thunder, Rompers. Honestly, that is a mega collection. But Dragon Saber's the shooter on it. Right then, there's volume 5, and on here you've got the sort of prequel, if you like, Dragon Spirit, which is the shooter on that one. And then, right, next up, again, there's some other shooters, sort of maybe shooters in like the Galaxian mould on other volumes, but you've got to draw the line somewhere, don't you? Right, next up, I think this one was off Eddie, when Eddie was selling up to move out. Einhander, Squaresoft release, horizontal. This one from memory. Been ages since I played this. Kind of okay is my memory of this one. Nothing spectacular, but half decent, I would say. I think it was 3D polygons, which they don't look as good, do they? But it's sort of a mediocre stroke, average, reasonable shooter, I'd say. Then we've got 2 in a similar style. We've got Ray Storm. I always get these names mixed up, there's so many. And we've got Ray Crisis. I can never remember which is which. Also known as Layer Section on the Saturn. Also known as Galactic Attack on the Saturn. Ray Storm and Ray Crisis on the PS1. The first Galactic Attack's the best one. The one that's pixel style graphics. I can't remember which is which. However, I mean, they're both good, but the earlier one is the better one for me. I'm sure you've played them. Right, we're nearly there. Next up, another Namco game. We've got Xevious 3D. Xevious is kind of like a primitive early version of Layer Section, really, wherein you've got like bullets to fire airborne targets and bombs to fire ground targets. I've never been that enamoured with Xevious. I think it's probably because it's so sort of old and primitive now. It's because I never played it at the time. I think it's a bit tough to go back to. Obviously, this one they've sort of spruced up for the time of the PlayStation. And from memory, it was all right. I can't. It's been that long since I played this. I can't remember. I seem to remember this like the modernised, because it's got. You can see the sort of the timeline of the games that's on there. But I'm sure it was quite good. This, not like amazing, but pretty good. And I do quite like the box on this one actually. I think it's nice artwork. That's Xevious 3D. Then next up, amazing games. And again, these are on the Saturn as well. And we've got Strikers 1945. Obviously Psycho games. I like Psycho. I kind of like Tower Plan for me, as in like the pinnacle of shooting games. I mean, you've got to, obviously you're talking about Raiden. That's like up there, you know. But as like a company who makes shooters, I don't think you can go wrong with Psycho and Tower Plan. However, Strikers 1945 is magnificent. PlayStation or Saturn, don't matter. It's a great game. Or the Switch collection, you know. And so I've also got Strikers 1945 Part 2. It's a shame it's the sort of simply value super light, whatever, the budget label version, but it don't matter. The game's still the same. And then I've kind of left the best till last if you sort of take Raiden out of the equation. For me, like I've said, Raiden is, it's like so far above everything else except this. Though I'd have to say the Saturn version I prefer over this. However, it's still, you know, the game. With Gekio, which is basically Shenryu on the Saturn. That's magnificent. This and Raiden, by far and away, are the greatest two shooters ever made for me. I love them. And, you know, I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. There's something about them. They've both got the same kind of weapon mechanics, really. I don't know what it is. It just appeals to me. I love them both. And that's Gekio or Shenryu on the PS1. This is a Japanese exclusive on the PS1. You can get the PAL version on the PS2 though. So if you want to play it, that's your cheapest option. Steel Dragon on the PS2 is basically this game. And there we go. That's the entirety of my PS1 collection of shooters. Like I say, there are others which I would like, but they're just far too expensive. Harmful Park being one, obviously. But you know, there's a few. But I'm just not prepared to pay the prices that I'm going to go for unless I ever get a bargain. You know, I'm happy with what I've got. But there we go. I thought that'd make a bit of a different video from pickups, at least. Anyway, I was going to do another pickups actually, but people must be absolutely sick of them. So I don't know when I'll do it. I might do another pickups next week. I don't know. We'll see. I'm still waiting for my big parcel, but I've still got another couple of pages to get through, which I haven't shown yet. But we'll leave it there for today anyway. Let me know what you think in the comments. That's what it's all about. Be good to hear from you. Thanks for watching. Sayonara.